nobody could have ever foreseen where we would be in 2020.
God, there was just so much that was supposed to happen this year. You know, we had a lot going on. We had a really cool tour planned for Europe.
I think in a way the pandemic happening really makes us appreciate what we have more. Being able to get together and make music together is a release.
It's bizarre how weird this time has become.
Any solid plans we had at the end of last year, you know, everything was just kind of up in the air. Like, what are we supposed to do?
You know, I think what we all learned this year is how to adapt, how to adjust ourselves to what's going on in the world.
There was a lot of good groundwork that set us up to be in this place to make this album finally.
3, 2, 1, 0.
So much has changed since we made a full new album as a band. I remember at one point we had a little tour in Canada, and at the end nobody really had anything going on, so I was like, hey, let's stay a week, find an Airbnb in the woods, and oh man, did we. So good. And we were just really way up, like had to drive way out into the middle of nowhere and just camped out in the woods, set up a rig, and like wrote music together. I am so grateful. It wasn't foresight, because nobody could have ever foreseen where we would be in 2020. But I'm really grateful that we made time when we didn't have to, that we could be together and just jam in a room and be creative and get into that zone intermittently throughout 2019, so that we had this big pile already of material to work off of when we got here, and we have had to spend so much of this year apart. The last concert that we went to go play was in Mexico City for NotFest, and it was one of those things. It was a one-off. It was like the day after Thanksgiving was the day we all had to fly.
It was a bad ending to a great year. It was a heavy festival. There was a lot of heavy bands playing, and the barricades started failing.
It was just this really like almost out of a bad movie kind of situation, and somewhat comical and somewhat not comical, and how the seriousness of it and the gravity of it.
The band that played before us, Behemoth, I went up on their side stage and was just watching because I thought that their get-up was fun, like their like Halloween-looking costumes and their masks. I was just standing there watching it. I bolted back to the dressing room, and our security guard, Richie, he's just like, oh, they got problems up there. Like, what are you talking about? And it turns out that the crowd got all rowdy during Behemoth's set.
The barricades weren't secure, and it was this crazy thing where we were sitting back there hoping that they would fix it, hoping it would be able to be fixed. It just wasn't something that could happen. And we had a safety call had to be made about, okay, you know, the last two bands, you know, can't go on.
Hey guys, Mexico City, we are so disappointed that we didn't get our chance to play for you tonight at NotFest. The last couple bands didn't get to play because of a safety issue.
I've never really been in that situation before, where we really were feeling like, oh no, this is all going wrong and it's kind of out of our control. It was the saddest thing driving away, seeing our beautiful set all ready to go, the piano's in the middle of the stage. Like, I've never even seen that before, with just thousands of people lined up waiting to see us play, and having to leave it. The only thing that could have been worse is if later in the night they burned our set to the ground, which they did.
A lot of people got on stage, and the first thing they went for was the drum kit, and they just annihilated Will's drum kit.
Like, we're getting out of there, and I get back to the hotel, and, you know, my drum tech's still down there, and he says, you got to turn on the news, and I turn on the news, and there's my drum kit on fire, you know, being completely burned to the ground, like, you know, like a bonfire. And I was like, wow, man, you know, it was really weird, man. And it wasn't that many of them, you know. It was like, it was less people than you would think that had really kind of caused that destruction. I mean, people had broken the barricade, and there were thousands of people running around. But the people that really did that it was a small group, and it's unfortunate because it just made them all look bad. Looking back on it, I was like, man, that really just sort of kind of summed up 2020 right there, watching my drum kit burn up, and basically just watched everything that was supposed to happen in 2020 go up in smoke.
I think when something like that happens, you're in such a hectic struggle, just trying to just go through that now, whatever life throws at you in that moment, that it takes a little bit of time. And I think for me personally, it was at the airport when we've been waiting for our gate to open, when everybody was kind of like in that mood, halfway through being in shock, but also giggling. I mean, that was not our fans. Our fans would never do that to us. So it was just a situation that created this energy. And it was just, unfortunately, us.
So we came back, and it was time to do the video for The Chain. We just went, hey, that's it. We're just going to pour this into that, make this, put it into the video somehow. We totally lit the drum kit on fire for fun and, took that back. I think there's always a way to take the situation you're given and make something out of it. Go with it, use it. We've had to do that more and more and more this year. That mentality had to carry over into this year, where then we went into the studio. We hadn't locked down yet. It wasn't COVID in the US yet. And we were able to record these first four songs, and that went really great. We had such a wonderful creative connection with Nick that we decided we really did want to continue with him for the rest of the record. The fact that I've been able to be here with Nick here, and we've had the ability to work amidst, the craziness of having to wait weeks before being together, sometimes because somebody's, come in contact with somebody and needs to quarantine, even to be together in a way where we can be across the room and mask up. But I never have had to be in a situation where I either had to get on a plane to continue this process. We found it didn't even need to be that way for me. It was more to get the guys in here after the lockdown.
I think we recorded a few songs January and February, and then I was mixing them in March, and then things started to get really kind of weird all of a sudden. So we stopped. I think it was right around the time we stopped, it was kind of like, whoa, this is getting serious. And then, over the course of the next few months, we just kind of kept in touch and watched things develop, and got to a point where we felt like it would be safe if we kept, the studio really tight and cleaned it all the time and stuff like that, that we would be able to continue working.
We had our first four songs. We had Wasted on You, The Game Is Over, Use My Voice, and Yeah, Right, recorded from our first batch. And even finishing it, we weren't quite done when we really needed to separate. And then I got a sore throat. It wasn't COVID. We needed to still record like some background vocals and stuff, but Nick and I couldn't get together just in case. And I remember coming up here, and he brought the mic and the preamp and the compressor into the parking lot. And laid it out like on the ground for me and was explaining like across the parking lot, like he's like, I set this knob already, do this and this and this, plug this into here, and like whatever. And then, recorded the end of that remotely, and mixing remotely is no big deal. So it was just like this, we're not gonna let anything stop us feeling even from then.
The cool thing about this band is that there's a certain resiliency to what we were doing. And I think that came from a few places. It came from that we really believed in the music that we were creating, and it came from really good management that just was determined to not let this thing put us down.
We were just about to release, it was going to be Use My Voice for the first song, and we were about to release that, and we were working on the video idea for that, and we were about to go on our tour, and then it was like, none of that's happening, and suddenly like the feeling of Use My Voice doesn't fit right now. What do we do? And it was really that there was this choice whether we were gonna either just wait it out and just hold on and do it our way and not go with the flow of things, or use it and go, hey, let's like look at what we have here. We picked another song that fit really, really well for the moment, with lines in it that picked up a new meaning all of a sudden where we were all locked down, frozen in time and waiting for a miracle. I have been really fueled in a way by needing to think about ideas in a new way and having to find a new way out of the problem. My fans know that I'm a big fan of The Legend of Zelda. Well, a big part of why is because it's about the problem solving. It's like, find your way out of the room. A lot of this year has been like that. Like, you have to solve the puzzle, and when you do, the satisfaction is so great because you really had to work for it. On a different level where emotions are high, you know, and anxiety is real, and just all of it. It's been such a ray of light to have our music for ourselves and for our fans. It's felt good to be able to put it out there and just not be a piece of bad news amongst so much bad news. But I think that on a real serious note, like, there's a lot of hope, and music hopefully, you know, shines that hope and that idea that when we can be honest, truly honest, be broken and not be afraid to be that, connect in that, then we can start to climb out together, and there is a way through this, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, because we really aren't alone, even though physically we have been so much in this year.
I talked to Amy about it. Well, we all did on a Zoom call when she was like, "Hey guys, we have to get this record done, and we have to get together to do it." Okay, well, how are we going to do that and make sure it's safe?
And it was kind of like, how do we get everybody from their own states, and Jen, who lives in Germany, how do we get everybody back to Nashville? And there were lots of ideas. One of those ideas was to, let's rent a tour bus and park it in the parking lot, and we can just have the band stay on the bus, and that way they can just walk from the bus into the studio, and nobody has to be here.
Amy's top priority was making sure that everybody was safe and taken care of, and so she sent tour buses to everybody individually to take us from our homes to Nashville.
We all got tested. We tried to be as careful as possible. It was a real bummer that we couldn't get Jen here. She's stuck in Europe, and at the time there were no flights coming from over there, so she couldn't have got here if she wanted to.
I love Amy and I love the guys, and just being apart from them for so long, especially because we left Nashville in February, and everybody went like, okay, party, see you next time. So nobody knew that this was coming and that this was happening in 2020. And what was really the toughest part of this year while working on this album was for me to know that they are able to hang out together and I couldn't even make it into the country. That was hard. Shut up till I tell you to go. Don't get caught up and pretend 'cause you're not in control.
Hey.
Hi. We're back.
So where are we right now?
We are at Rock Falcon, the epic, legendary Rock Falcon, coming out of our holes for the first time in a very long time to get together and finish this thing.
This is such a positive and blessed thing to happen for us, to be able to come and do this. And to be able to come in now and do this and finish this record has given it an urgency that I don't think that we would have had any other way.
We had to be apart for a few months after the first 4 songs were recorded, and then it was like super lockdown. Got the buses for the guys. We got to get back together, and we were hungry for it. I'd just gotten to a point where I couldn't do it alone anymore. I'd gotten as far as I could get to on my own. We just needed to be together. We got here and there was a new spark. There was a new passion and energy and appreciation for the ability to be here in the first place. The guys were here, just camped out for I think it was 6 weeks. And, you know, knowing that we would have to go back apart and potentially not get back together again for the album, we had to cram it all in. So it was like we didn't have all the songs written, so we started with a writing session happening during the pre-production phase, which, especially with Nick, always yields something cool. I think the coolest one that came out of that pre-pro moment was Better Without You. And we all love that song, and it's cool when you can really see something take shape together, because that's often not the case. Like, I'll come up with something, or something comes from somewhere, and then there you go. But having that time to be in the creative zone and jam in here and just play in the room, kind of like a show, but focus in a creative way. And then to take it in there and start going for it and laying tracks down, oh, it felt so good. Just a little piece of something normal in a time where nothing feels like it will ever be normal again. Felt great. And, you know, it's weird, but it felt good to be reminded that we're good at something. Because it's hard not to just feel like everything's too hard this year. And coming in here and making music is somewhere where I am running. I am feet on the ground running. And it's like, oh yeah, we're good at this. Like, this is something I know how to do and I'm not failing at.
Atmosphere of what's going on in the world right now has really lent itself to what this record sounds like. And this, in my mind, you know, I don't want to speak out of turn, but in my mind, this is a very aggressive and heavy record for Evanescence. And when I say heavy, I mean musically it's probably the heaviest thing that we've ever done, through and through. But also lyrically, it's the most pointed and timely lyrics that I think Amy's ever written, in my opinion.
I had a moment when we were mixing Use My Voice, actually. I just felt this weight in my heart, like this conviction. We had to do more than just write a protest song. We needed to do something that could actually, you know, potentially inspire people and move people and help to shine light on truth, because lies have just flooded our world and our country lately.
Go on, take everything and throw it away, but I will use my voice.
We got to get together for the video. That in itself was something to be so excited for. And it was different. We had a medic on site taking temperatures and making sure everybody was apart. Everybody was wearing masks all the time. Also, just feeling like this really awesome support came out of people that I did and didn't know. Eric and his crew, incredible. I mean, anytime you're going to get together like that, especially in that moment when we were doing it, you know, there's a little bit of risk involved. I mean, you could just choose to not do it. But there was a lot of passion from the creative team, and even all the extras that we found who were willing to be a part of the video, wanted to be a part of it, really wanted to help make it happen. We were all in it, like this big group of people, like wanting to make this together, wanting to make this statement that we stand for each other and for truth and against the lies and against the suppression and oppression. We shot here in Nashville for the majority of it with Tim and Troy and Will and I, and a lot of the extras. And then Jen's shots were done in Germany with another director who was with her, matching the shots, you know, sending each other pictures of things.
It kind of looks as if we're all together, but we were not. I mean, I was in Cologne in Germany. But it's fascinating what technology can do these days. So I'm like, wow. When I watched the video, I'm like, I'm with Amy and the guys. This is amazing. I'm so happy. And it was interesting. We shot it on a day. I remember the weather was really weird. Maybe the weather gods were just on my side and they were like, yeah, let's make it look exactly like Amy and the guys recorded it in Nashville. I don't know.
It was just kind of like this project where Eric really poured himself into it big time. Eric knew the song before it was finished and has been along for this journey. It's been really valuable to me more and more and more to have other creatives, friends, and artists in my life to just support. We support each other. We listen to each other's work. We read each other's stories. We talk to each other and have conversations. And it only can inspire you and open your mind to different perspectives, which is good. Hard to know sometimes the best way to use your voice. It's not true that the online world is the whole world. It's just not. We have to continue, to say what's up, and to say where we stand on these hugely important social issues. And we're already in such a weak place as a world. Everybody's hurting. People are sick. People have lost family members. That is all real. And to have a force that we're supposed to be able to trust, telling everybody that it's fake, it just hurts. It really hurts. More people voted than ever in history. I'm proud of that fact alone, and I do feel like we were a teeny tiny part of it. So many people were a part of it. I am proud of that. I'm proud that we had that moment and chose to stand up. I know it's not over.
Music's that bridge for people. We can create, we can write, we can record this stuff, we can put it out. The goal is to get the message out there and bring folks together, definitely not to divide.
Are you guys sure it does that climb in this song and it's not the other song?
It's this song.
It does that exact climb into the bridge of...
No, I think it's...
Yeah, that's that other song.
What song is that?
No, it's the Little Mermaid part.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, son of a bitch.
I think it's fresh as fuck sounding. I think it's definitely the heaviest record that they've ever made. I mean, Amy really, I was surprised at times at how heavy she wanted to go on some of these songs and some of the parts, some of the elements within the songs. But actually not that surprised because she's a total rocker and she loves heavy shit and it's awesome. She loves that energy and that power. And that's one of the fun things about working with her. She's not afraid to try anything, man. Us together, we'll direct a song through, you know, all over the course. It's like a map. You know, it starts out over here, and then it's like driving across the country. Hey, let's go down to here, and let's go up to here, and let's go over to here, and we finally end up on the East Coast, you know.
Nick is incredible. He is a partner. It's like he's absolutely one of the band when we're working together. And we had that experience last time in 2011 where we made our self-titled album. It's self-titled because he put us in a place where it was like, oh, okay, we're a real band for the first time. With all the experience and perspective and everything that we've gained, and he has too. You know, he's the mixer now as well. Just letting it be a place where we can go in there and do it together. Like, I feel like we really, oftentimes but not always, have a vision for the same end goal. Not all the little pieces along the way, and that's what makes a good collaboration. But for like that basic end goal, like, I feel like we really get each other in a way that's super, super productive and beautiful.
He carries that incredible positive drive and that energy that I have hardly seen in producers so far. Like, he is the utmost coolest guy. I stepped back a little bit, observed how he's working, and he's got this amazing talent of understanding and feeling music. And it's just, he's such a great energy, and you feel so comfortable around him recording and contributing because he makes you feel so welcomed. Like, all your ideas are so welcomed, and he's such an amazing person.
Nick is absolutely my favorite rock producer. Like, hands down. The dude is a mind reader. He gets it. He understands the vibe. You show him something, you show him an idea. He's already 5 steps ahead. He's already heard the rest of the song that you're trying to write before you've heard it. And he sits there and he listens to what you're doing, and he computes it and he feels it, and he says, try this, try that, try this. Most of the time, you try that and you try that and you try this, and you're like, holy shit, that's way better than what I thought I was already doing.
Some producers, you bring something up and they just blow you off because they have a specific way that they want to do everything. Sometimes they want you to play through all their stuff. It's a bummer, you know. It's like, I've been working on this tone my whole life, and you want me to play through some amp I've never played through. Nick's always open to ideas, ways of recording. It's more like having another band member in the band.
You know, obviously, other friends had worked with him, and real familiar with what he had done with Alice in Chains on Black Is Way to Blue, Diamond Eyes, and, you know, obviously the Foo Fighters, and then, you know, Rush. But I'd never met him, so we came in and met the guy, and it was just like this thing of like, you know, we're similar in age, and we really like a lot of the same stuff, man. And it just felt like I was hanging out with one of my best buddies from high school and beyond, you know, in my music scene, you know, whatever. You know, Nick's the kind of guy, you know, he likes to hang out. But he's also got a job to do, and he's really good at doing that without it seeming like that's what he's doing.
The band that she's got backing her right now is truly a force to be reckoned with. Those guys, and Jen included, they're awesome. Will Hunt, who is from a different galaxy, made of a different composition of DNA, was formed in a millennia, many eons ago, and sits behind the drums and plays with that nuclear energy. Tim on the bass is, I mean, he's great. They're all great. They're all great. Troy's great, Jen's great. Her band is just completely on point all the time. And they're great people, they're great players, and they come together and they create this giant sound of Evanescence. And there's a lot of power behind it.
A really important element to a functional band is everyone respecting each other, like personally and professionally, like really believing in each other. The reason for that one of the reasons for that, is you need to kind of let somebody go down a road for a minute, you know, before shooting it down. Also, you know, be comfortable with each other as brothers and sisters, you know, to where we can go down a road and go, okay, cool, let's not do that. Let's do something else, you know, and not feel like threatened by that. We have been a unit, this core, 5 of us, for about 5 years since we've had Jen, but with the exception of Jen, the rest of the guys and I have been together for over a decade and really developed some major bond from the experiences that we've had and from just like having a deep understanding with each other. And I really create the best. The only way that I really truly can like open myself up all the way is to trust somebody. And I trust them. And I know what it's like for it to not be that way. And I just wouldn't want to be doing this if it wasn't that way. Each of them brings something different to the table. And each of us has a slightly different style. We don't all have the same exact vision. We don't all want all the same things for music. But that's why it can be so multi-layered, I think. I think that brings something good, the push and pull. Same thing with working with Nick. Like a little bit of that push and pull is what makes it great. So I don't know. It's sort of like just this particular recipe that makes up this time for us as a band, and I'm really grateful for it.
A few of the elements that I really love about recording with Evanescence and Amy in particular is, you know, all of the recording involved in the process, which is, you know, she's down to get a string section and get a choir, and we'll have 2 or 3 different programmers, and everybody's just throwing information and tracks and ideas and creativity, and it's just this thing, it's hard to describe. And when we're in the thick of that, it's really, really fun and really exciting. When you work with a band or an artist, whoever, you partner up with all of them at kind of different times during the process. And you know, it's a lot of fun when me and her really get to dig into all the stuff, because she's super creative and a great piano player, and you know, she's just really flowing with creativity and ideas. And she understands the process, you know, she knows things take a while. You can do things a lot easier these days, obviously, with programming and synthesized keyboards and all that stuff. And you know, there's instances where I'm like, hey, you know, let's do a little string thing in here. Let's just grab the keyboard real quick. And she's like, looks at me like, are you crazy? She's like, no, we're gonna like record strings in a studio. And I'm just like, okay, let's go.
First, I really have held out on strings this time because part of the vision for this album was to make it really raw. And it's not, it's Evanescence, come on. There's a million layers. But coming off of synthesis in particular, combined with the themes of the music, which are very just exposed, just opening up, just felt like the right thing to have it not have that beautiful element. But, you know, as the album has been such a journey, it took us to that place where if it needs something, we could do it. And we could do it, and it was possible. David Campbell is, I mean, he's just a part of this. He's been a part of this since our very first album. And that's why synthesis was so gratifying, because we were able to re-experience it and re-dig into it together and have our thing together that we always collaborate on be the forefront.
Open your eyes to the light. The night it falls so low. Say goodbye.
Dennis to come back again and have it be with him, it made it all feel real. It's like, okay, now we've done an Evanescence album, we've got some strings going on, and they sound beautiful. David doesn't just put strings on something. He takes in the song, like, and interprets it in his mind and, like, puts it back out in a new way. And having that layer of just, like, vision and light is so precious. I love it so much. I really am inspired by David Campbell always, and just like look up to him in such a major way. He was able to do it through Zoom, and actually Nick was quarantining at the time, so he was doing it through Zoom too, and it was just me and the engineers in the studio, which was cool too. It was beautiful to watch it happen and to feel like, hey, you know, we are still all here. We're doing this together, even though we can't really be together. That makes me feel really good to know. Fingers crossed. We can't control anything as far as like when we can really go back out and it's safe for the audience in particular, you know, to have concerts again. I feel like we're gonna be able to still find ways to give and receive. Like, we're still going to find a way to keep going in a new way. Doing the live stream was really cool because it was sort of a hybrid of a show, like a performance, and the studio experience. Because we're here in the place, you know, where we made the music, and we're isolated in ways that we can make it sound really good, you know, like where everybody's in separate places and everything.
You know, when I went to that studio where I recorded my solo album to record the live stream audio and video, it was just like, you know, I had these moments, I had my eyes closed a lot. When I closed my eyes and I played and sang these songs, I was just like putting myself emotionally back to that moment of like being together with the band and playing, and it was just, it felt so good.
The feeling in real time, you know, to play those songs together felt so good. The new songs in particular, because that is the thing that we would have been doing right now that we haven't been able to do. So to get to just jam them and enjoy them without thinking about writing or correcting or just playing them, just mastering the performance of a song, feels really good. I was really grateful for that moment and the fact that we were able to make that happen.
It feels a little like all-encompassing. We all come from different places, you know. This band has come together from all parts of the world, all parts of the country. We all had different upbringings. Our ages are pretty, you know, there's a wide gap, you know, between the oldest person and the youngest person. So I feel like this is like a soup like we've never done before.
This experience, when I first joined this band, how I saw how the fan base was, how I was embraced by the fan base too. Like, I remember saying to Amy shortly after we first started playing shows together, I remember saying to her, like, holy shit, these people are passionate. And she's just like, oh yeah, dude, oh yeah. You have no idea. As the years go by, I can't imagine it any other way.
They are loyal. Admittedly, we take a little longer to put out our records, you know. We take a lot of time to write songs, and I don't think that we could ever release enough music fast enough for them, which is great, you know. We're lucky to have people that are hungry to hear more from us all the time. They're all over the place. We're lucky that we get to tour almost everywhere in the world.
Like a band like Evanescence, if you think about it, is such an anomaly, because this is a band that, you know, released a record and then put out their second record maybe 2.5, 3 years later, so that's kind of a long stretch. And then did not put out another record for 6 years, almost 6 years. And that record debuted at #1 on the Billboard chart, the Billboard Top 200 album chart, not the rock chart, but the Top 200 album chart. That's, I don't know if there's another band out there, I mean, I'm sure there is, but I can't think of it that's done that. That's gone away and taken these breaks, and it's a testament to who these fans are. And, you know, again, we took a long break before we came back and played any shows with no new material, and the fans were still there. We threw a massive curveball and did a completely orchestral record. And when I say orchestral electronic record, I mean, we didn't just play the way that we play and add an orchestra to it. We flipped the whole thing upside down. They were there. And they're there now. And it's just, it's incredible. They're incredibly dedicated. I've been able to meet a lot of them, and they come from so many different walks of life and so many different stories, and, you know, we're all weird in our own way, and I think that's maybe what we share, you know, and we're pretty open about it.
Ever since I started playing in bands, I thought there's always got to be this one person, you know, that one person you try to not hang out with. And I thought that was normal because I didn't know better. And I learned when I joined Evanescence, I learned that it is possible to have a band, a team, a crew where everybody gets along. And it's not the norm, and I know that. I wish things were different for this first album in such a long time, but it is what it is. And it turned out to be so strong. And I believe the whole situation, what happened with this year, like not only in the US, but also with the world, with the pandemic, with, you know, a lot of things that happened. I believe you can totally feel that vibe in every single song on this album, because it's honest, it's so powerful and strong, it's encouraging, but it's also the beauty of, okay, this is a tough situation, this is a vulnerable situation, it's not the utmost positive situation that we're in right now, but let's make it better. Let's fight for the good. And the whole vibe of that album is encouragement for me personally. When I read through the lyrics, when I listen to the sounds and to the songs in general, it's encouraging. It's like, it's okay to be not okay.
We really put these records together as a band. You know, we write together and we really dig in together. You know, each one of us brings our own thing, and I mean, it's cool that Amy has come to a point where she trusts us to be a part of that with her. I think that's really ballsy, but also, you know, I'm honored, we're all honored that, you know, she feels that way. At the same time, you know, she has a mutual respect to us, you know, that you know, this is really important to me. Nobody's just phoning it in.
We have this band, and we've had this album this year to focus on, to pour ourselves into all the fear and frustration and rage and love and longing, and more than anything, I feel like just a want for a human connection across distances with people we do and don't know, just to feel unity as humankind. And music is a place where that is somehow possible. So I have, you know, through the difficulty and challenge of this year, we just decided early on that we were going to dive headfirst into the creative part of things, and however we could push forward and make the best album ever and put our whole selves into it. It's taken all year. It really has been a long process. What it's kind of done is given me something to always be able to focus on beyond, like, we can't deny reality. We all need to be aware right now. But you need an escape from that too. I need an outlet to pour my feelings into. I need a way to feel like, I don't know, like that something good can still come out of this time. Because just pushing, you know, the snooze button and waiting for things to get better isn't real. That isn't going to happen, and it's a huge waste of life. We don't know if we have tomorrow.
I don't like to slow down when we catch like a train, I guess, of thought. When we're in the zone and in the pocket and creating great stuff, I wanna keep going. Usually at the end of a tour, there's quite a bit of burnout, like at the end of an album cycle, and you want to take some time. And then so much time passes, and it becomes almost maddening that you're not doing it again. I do what I can to keep creativity flowing, and if we weren't under pandemic, I would be pushing to keep on rocking. I think when the pandemic is over and we can finally get back to doing work, the world is going to be so hungry for all this stuff that I don't know that it's going to be possible to slow down even if you wanted to.
If anything, I honestly just feel like this album, having this, has been so good and healing for all of us. It's just been a coping mechanism, and it's been so good for me and really made me remember yet again how much I love this band and making music.